Welcome to Sweet Valley Diaries, where when the richest family in town is held hostage, it's not for their money, it's for their intellectual property. Book number 26, Hostage.
Can anyone save Regina Morrow?
You know, I told you were going to mess it up. I said I would say it first, and then you would go second. You had one.
I thought we could do it at the same time. I thought it would be nice.
Yeah, but that's why you plan it in advance.
Can you? So you do it now.
Well, no, you've stolen my thunder.
Okay. Well, get
I
your mojo
would
back.
like to say it.
Okay.
Can I get? I'll get a clean take on this.
Okay.
It's going to be better than what you did.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can anyone
save Regina Morrow?
Okay, you did again step on mine, but
that was perfect, you guys.
That works.
That
for
was
you?
everything
Thank you.
I could have hoped for.
Yeah, we're
Really.
professionals, so
Yeah, no, I'm completely sincere. Everything I could have hoped for. Hi, welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Marissa Flaxbart, and with me today are two very special guests that for some reason agreed to do my show. Thank you, guys. It's Jack Shepard and Tanner Greenring, the hosts of the wonderful Babysitters Club podcast. Are you guys, your show has a new name these days?
yeah. Do you want to try and say it, Tanner? It's
Same time?
No, you know how we say it. It's the Babysitters Club
Mystery.
Club. We're reading the mysteries now.
Yes, which is really exciting because today's book, Hostage, even though we decided to do it at a time when I was totally unaware, perhaps you guys were as well, that the mystery thing was coming, it dovetails really nicely into the whole mystery vibe. You guys are in that creepy solving a mystery space.
Yeah, I was surprised that you served us up a Sweet Valley mystery and that it was just a regular Sweet Valley series book.
Yeah, how
Right.
many
Are
of
they all
these
mysteries?
Mysteries.
Almost none of them. This book actually kind of stands alone. There's one other book that kind of gets referenced in the sort of subtext, sometimes text of this, where something dramatic happened, a book called Kidnapped, also an exclamation point book.
Oh, right.
And later on, there is a special series of the books that are called like super thrillers, where weird crimes happen.
That does sound thrilling.
They're pretty mysterious, and they have a special banner, but this book came out at a time before that special banner had been created. But usually on the show, we start out by talking about the guests' prior familiarity with the series. So I'll start with you, Jack. Would you like to share your previous experience with the Sweet Valley High series?
Yes, happily. So when I was a young boy, I moved to the United States, and my only friend was my cousin, who was a young lady my age, and I spent a lot of time in her room while she watched TV, reading her entire library. So I read a bunch of Babysitters Club books, hence the Babysitters Club podcast, and I also read a number of Sweet Valley High books, though at this point I'm much more of an expert on BSC, and Sweet Valley High is still this like distant memory, but it all comes flooding back. Like I have a slightly different view of Elizabeth and Jessica than I did at 7.
7.
These
Wow.
books are a little raunchy for a 7-year-old.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. We haven't gotten into this, but I'm sure it was very captivating as a young lad.
Here on Sweet Valley Diaries, we often marvel at the fact that the beginning of the book says that the books are for age 12 and up. And even that seems a little bit risque for imagining like a 7th grader poring over some of these pages. Maybe not this one so much, but how about you, Tanner? Sweet Valley High?
I read one once because on our show we read all 131 regular series Babysitters Club books, and we were like, oh no, what do we do now? So what we decided to do was record a few pilots for new shows, pivots, directions we could go in after we ran out of Babysitters Club books. And one of the ideas was to tackle the Sweet Valley High books. So we read one of them and recorded a pilot for a show we call the Sweet Valley Boys, and then abandoned it.
Well, I was thinking about the Sweet Valley Boys when I read this book, because the gap that you had to jump, you especially, Tanner, from that book, having that exposure to these characters in this world to what's happening in Hostage.
Like Bruce
Seems like quite a
Pac-Man
gulf.
in the first one was such a bad boy, and then Bruce Pac-Man in this one is like this saint.
Yeah, he's a hero, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you get is a few little glimpses of Jessica and him having some repartee.
Yeah.
Jessica doesn't think much of him because they have a history. And Bruce has mostly been a terrible asshole that's done a lot of bad shit in these books. But then he and Regina fell in love and it changed him forever, or at least for now. Well, let's talk about the cover of this book. This is an exclamation point book. That's part of, I wanted to give you guys a special one. I feel like the exclamation point books are always a little something special.
So in the Babysitter's Club series, most of the covers are done by a gentleman named Hodges Swallow.
Yes.
Tanner and I like to talk about him. It seems like there's a uniformity of style on the SVH covers. Is there an illustrator? Do you know about him or her? Or they? There
is an illustrator.
Okay.
His name is James Matthews.
Okay.
And he is amazing. I mean, he's wonderful. I wish that I could get my portrait painted by him. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, there's some facial perspective issues that's come up recently. But this is a unique cover in his canon, I would say. In the Babysitter's Club books, which I guess I should add, I devoured as a kid, much more so than Sweet Valley High or Sweet Valley Twins, which is a series where these same characters are younger. They're actually more like middle school age, more like the Babysitter's Club girls are.
Is it as raunchy, the Sweet Valley Twins, or is it...
No, it is not as raunchy.
But it is as mean. Like, I feel like the Sweet Valley Twins would not get along with any single member of... They would be friends with, remember that babysitting agency that, smokes cigarettes?
Yeah.
I feel like those dudes would hang out with
the
Sweet
They're
Valley
like the
Twins.
terrible popular girls, mostly, except for Elizabeth and her friends. But I remember in Sweet Valley Twins, there's a sort of an analog to what in these books is called Pi Beta Alpha, which does come up in this book in passing. And in the Sweet Valley Twins books, it's called the Unicorn Club.
Right.
Because
they couldn't have sororities when they were in middle school?
No. In high
it's
school,
already
totally
weird
normal.
that they have sororities in high school.
Right. But James mostly paints these pictures of two characters kind of standing next to each other on a blank background. And the way that their body language always says something about how they feel about each other. There's one about Jessica and Bruce where they're standing both looking kind of at the artist, but Bruce sort of has Jessica in kind of a chokehold. And, it's just it says a little something about the characters.
I think that's actually what we use for the cover art for Sweet Sweet Valley Boys, except I photoshopped my face onto Bruce Pac-Man and Jack's face onto Jessica.
Oh, my goodness. It's a really special one. The cover of Hostage.
On this cover...
we've got a kind of a dark place, and Regina Morrow is... that's Regina. I don't know.
So, a couple things jump out at me. The first is that the gentleman who is obscured on the cover, you see Regina loud and clear. She is shocked because it looks like someone's about to chloroform her in an airport. I know that from the text, not from the cover. But the gentleman, you don't see his face at all. But he is dressed like a character that we know very well from a Babysitter's Club cover, who's a gentleman named Travis, made famous in a book called Dawn and the Older Boy. And Travis's biggest trait, apart from being just kind of a douchebag, is that he wears denim with denim.
All up and down.
The old Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah. Is that what that's called? It's a cool look.
It is. I believe it is. Tanner, can you confirm that?
Yeah, Canadian tuxedo.
That's cool.
This guy's got his collar is wide open, though.
Yeah.
Travis was buttoned up. He's a respectable East Coaster, and this is a bad boy West Coaster.
It's a good look.
So you guys, I can understand why we're talking about this gentleman standing behind Regina, because this person doesn't really have any anatomy to speak of, but this has got to be Claire Davis, right?
Yeah, it's Claire Davis.
Claire Davis, did you guys notice that she's described as this gray-haired older woman who is 35 years old?
Oh, no, I missed that.
It took me midway through the book because... So we have to tell the listeners who Claire Davis is. Maybe, do we have anything else to say about the cover? Because we need to get into the story.
Regina Morrow looks like Millie Bobby Brown.
And this scene didn't happen in the book. What's the guy's name? The artist?
James Matthews.
James Matthews is lying. This did not happen in the book. This didn't happen. It's a lie.
Him and Hodges went to the same art school.
Yeah, they went to the same art school. Where
That's
art
an
is all
experience
about
you guys run into a lot.
concealing the truth.
Right. And I mean, you inferred, Jack, that this was happening at the airport, but we also, as the viewer, have to just assume that must be where this happened.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was a rag involved at the airport.
gun.
It was
no
a gun.
chloroform. There's a gun. I love that you're trying to move this along. That's not something we do on the show. I really like it, and I endorse it, and I want to help and support
Maybe
you in
her
this.
gun, what was her name, Claire? Maybe her gun shot chloroform.
Well, I don't think she really had a gun. Because
Well,
she just threatens that she has one.
She
Don't make me
shoots
get
at
it
the
out.
end. She shoots Bruce
She
Pac-Man.
pulled
I
her
mean,
gun out
she
at the
has
end.
one eventually, but she
Yeah.
was in Switzerland at the time. Like, I don't think she took
And
her
in an
gun with her to
airport.
Switzerland.
Airport security in the 80s was nothing.
Oh,
You could
that's
just
the 80s,
you were
that's right.
encouraged to carry a gun.
Yeah, you were encouraged.
Yeah, good point. But wouldn't it be easier to just not have a gun and just tell the stupid 16-year-old girl that you're trying to kidnap that you have one?
No,
and
that's
that,
true.
You know, I think that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nothing
this
against
didn't
Regina,
happen.
but I mean, she doesn't push back against this claim of a gun or what the hell is going on at all. She just kind of goes with it.
Regina's a real wet blanket in this book. She does nothing.
Yeah.
She does
Yeah,
nothing to
yeah.
help herself.
She gets lots of chances.
It's
Yeah.
like she wanted to be
Like, just
kidnapped.
walk out of the house. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or like call out. I don't know. She's so afraid of what's going to happen. But yeah. So in the book Hostage, we had some lead in the previous book that something was up with Regina Morrow. Regina is supposed to be in Switzerland getting her hearing fixed, and she's gone for a long time. So when a stock boy at the grocery store named Eddie Strong tells Elizabeth that he's seen Regina and he delivered groceries to her house, Elizabeth is very suspicious. That's where we land at the starting point here.
Yeah. I like everyone's names in these books. It's very easy to remember.
Yeah, Eddie Strong.
Eddie Strong, Bruce Pac-Man, Nicholas Morrow.
Sky Morrow. That's the
Sky
coolest one.
Morrow.
It's so beautiful.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Mrs. Morrow is Sky Morrow.
It's the first and last part of Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah. I noticed
my
that too. I
gosh.
actually captured that same note.
Did you?
Oh.
It just popped into my head just now.
No, of course I didn't. Who remembers that movie?
You guys are so in sync. I was willing to go with it. And I'm such a fan of your show that I'm ready for you guys to call it an IP freely. You know, like they got the idea from Sky Morrow, like whoever Jude Law, who's in that movie. Somebody got the idea for
It must have
Paltrow?
been. Yeah.
So early on in the book, Elizabeth is sure that something's up, and they just waste no time. She just goes over to the Morrow's house to see what's up.
This is a thing we're dealing with a lot right now in the Babysitters Club mysteries too, is these like teens deciding that they know better than the local authorities and like taking matters into their own hands.
The SVHPD is hopeless.
Oh my God, yes.
They're
Because-
hopeless. Like I understand why they did that in the context of this book. It's the same with the Stony Brook police, for what it's worth. Like, Elizabeth calls up. Everybody's a little bit too blasé about this kidnapping and hostage situation in general,
Right.
including the Wakefields. But Elizabeth calls up the cops at some point and it's like, hey, I think my friend has been kidnapped. And they're like, it's probably fine. And that's it. That's the end of the SVHPD. Like, that's it.
Apparently, they've gone by the house. So first, Elizabeth goes by the house, and this woman answers the door, who is 35 and has
This,
auburn hair with gray
horrendous
streaks.
elderly beast with
Yes.
like gray hair, all of 35 years old. Ugh.
Oh my God! And the big thing is that she claims to be Regina's aunt, but
Yeah.
Bruce and Elizabeth both know that Regina's parents are only children.
That's a weird one. That comes up a lot. Who
Yeah.
knows that about people? But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And Bruce is sure that she doesn't have a stepsister, which is what Aunt Claire claims to be a stepsister of Sky Morrow when Elizabeth comes to the door. But Regina comes down the stairs. This is what you were referring to, Jack.
Right,
This is like
right.
her first opportunity
Yeah.
to do something. She comes down the stairs and Elizabeth sees her. And I mean, I have read this book before, but I was like, damn, that was fast. Like, there's your proof.
This is a great time. I mean, I think that, and this is also pre-cell phones, but I think that the conceit is that if Regina makes any noise, because they have Regina's parents, Sky and whatever, her husband, Morrow, in another
Mister.
house. Sky and Mister in another house
Yeah, Phil.
And so the idea is that if
remember.
Regina makes any fuss, her parents will die, and vice versa. So she feels, like she can't do anything. But this would have been a great time. Or when the cops came by, for instance, would be a great time. I'm being held under duress.
Or do anything.
Right, but instead the cops just say like, "Oh, nothing's going on here. It's just an aunt and a girl. Like nothing to be suspicious of." And they call Elizabeth's house and chastise her for bothering to call. He says something really condescending to her, like, "Next time your little friend doesn't want to come out and talk to you, take it up with her, Missy."
Here's the only thing you need to know is that the kidnapper's car is a beat-up blue Dodge in Sweet Valley.
Right?
Those are criminals.
That's as low as it gets.
What is that, like a lawn care person or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
What's that crime boy we met in the first Sweet Valley, Tanner?
his name is like Spider.
Rick Andover.
yeah.
Rick Andover. Yeah, maybe he drives a No, he drives something cool.
No, he drives a sexy car. He drives a Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Rick Andover drives a Camaro. It's
So-
very sexy. It's like one of his
Only
best
the help.
traits.
Yeah.
Well,
Would be in a blue
no,
Dodge.
but you're not just saying that. That is literally something that comes up in the book because so basically Bruce and Jessica is eventually convinced that this is like a real problem, and Elizabeth like go into a whole like mystery solving mode. And part of their plan is they're gonna use the fact that Eddie Strong delivers groceries to like find out when the next
Right.
grocery delivery is and slip a note to Regina. And when they're deciding that Bruce is gonna pose as the delivery boy, they're like, "Well, what are we going to do with my car?" Because nobody would believe that a delivery boy drives a Porsche.
Right.
Yeah, a black Porsche. That's good.
And they're all like, "Ha ha ha, you're right."
Yeah, good.
This actually happened to me recently. I have some friends that made a web series and they had a pizza delivery boy and they asked me if they could use my car because their cars are both too nice.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, you're like, sorry, it's a black Porsche.
No. I drive a Chevy Aveo. So.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Very cool.
I don't know
So
what
you-
that looks like, but it sounds
Yeah.
cool. It sounds like it's from the future or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you identified with these guys. What are they called? The Dentons? The Densons?
Densons, yeah.
You're like, these are my people.
Mitch and Phil.
No. That I don't put that on me.
Okay.
Because they have a very devious plan. Oh my God, it's so complicated. I was actually reading this and I was like, how on earth are we going to recap this for the listeners? Because I don't really think I understand it.
Well, Tanner and I are really good at recapping things real fast.
Do you want us to sing? Do you want
I don't
us
have a
to-
clock, but like, did you guys understand what was going on with the microchip situation?
I can tell you.
Oh, good.
Mitch Denson. Is his name Mitch? No,
Yeah,
Mitch
well,
is
it's
the
a
son.
boy.
No, Mitch is the son. Yeah,
Phil.
We'll get to Mitch. Phil Denson. Phil Denson.
Phil Denson used to work at a tech company with Mr. Morrow.
It's his company
But Mr. Morrow fired him, and Mr. Morrow
for embezzling.
Mr. Morrow has since developed a secret microchip that is going to change computing, and Denson has the dual purpose of ruining Morrow's life and also making lots of money. And so he, along with this person, Claire, I don't know what their relationship is, hatch a plan
Lovers.
to it's unclear. It is
No,
not
they
specified.
say in the book that she's his girlfriend.
Okay.
Do they?
Yeah.
Doesn't say they love each other.
I mean, that's true.
I didn't say they love each other. I said they were lovers.
Okay. It's a highly technical
He
term.
makes a good point.
He and Claire hatch a plan to keep the parents of Regina and Regina in two separate places so that they can't try to escape because they're both afraid that the other will be killed.
Yes.
And then they'll just take Regina at some point into the factory to get the microchip.
Like the plans for the
He's going to
microchip.
sell it to someone in Rio de Janeiro.
Right.
Yeah.
And then make
they'll-
a lot of money and ruin the company and probably kill everybody.
Sitting on the
that they
beach
kidnapped.
making 10%. That's what Hans Gruber says in Die Hard.
Yeah, I
10%
think that
of
sounds
what?
like probably his plan. Did Die Hard come out before this or after?
Die Hard is...
89.
89 is what I was going to guess. And this is definitely before
89.
that.
There you go.
I'm going to look it up.
All right.
It's more IP.
Are you saying Tanner Googles on this show?
You don't get
I mean,
your
listen.
song on this show. I'm sorry. I am embarrassed on Tanner's behalf, and I apologize.
88.
88. There you go.
Oh, we were also close.
Yeah.
Good job, the three of us. So Yeah, so that's the plan. But there's a fatal flaw in the plan, which is that there is another Morrow child, Nicholas Morrow, who he's just they didn't even try to like get him out of the picture. He's just
He's
up
a real
in San Francisco.
dish too.
Yeah. He's a sexy man.
Oh, and he's a dish. Yeah, he's a snack.
And yeah. Well, which is it? I feel like a dish is more than a snack, right?
Yeah, he's a full dish because he's got these shoulders on him. You get both of them. He has both of them, and he wears.
I mean, I'm a bigger guy than Jack, so he's a snack for me, a dish for Jack.
Yeah, he would be a full dish for me, a snack for Tanner. So he's got very nice shoulders, and tell me what you guys get from this. It says he was wearing track shorts and a cut-off T-shirt. Jessica thought he looked terrific, though his small talk needed a little bit of refining. Let's not concentrate on the small talk. That's nothing.
You're talking about the wrong guy. That's Mitch.
Is that Mitch? Oh, he's the dish.
Yeah, Nicholas would never dress like that.
He's the dish. Yeah. Nick is the snack for me.
Nick is handsome too.
For Tanner, he would be a fucking appetizer.
He'd be like one of those little cheeses that French people eat. Party cheese.
Yeah.
Like before dinner or like after as a dessert, like a dessert cheese. Oh, okay.
Wait, a drink cheese? Did you say?
A cheese, not like a cheese you drink. I think he means like a cheese that you would have with drinks.
Like a little square of cheese that you would have with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
And you don't even remember it. But he does do, are we allowed to say this on your show? He does do a kissing with
absolutely.
Elizabeth. And it seems like they have a history, and Elizabeth was like not interested. Pretty much everybody at fucking Sweet Valley High could be my boyfriend, and I don't need you, even though you're 18. But he does need to do a kissing with her to hide the fact that they're staking out some like cold-blooded murderers outside their home. Yeah.
So the Bruce and Nick, or not Nick yet, Bruce and Liz and Jessica like call Nick, and they don't tell him what's wrong. They're just like, you have to get down. It's too complicated to explain. You have to drive back down to Sweet Valley right now. And apparently Nicholas comes back and he's heard the whole story. What we didn't tell the listeners yet is that Eddie Strong and that whole ruse with the groceries got a magazine into the hands of Regina that had a note that said, tell us what happened. And we find out, what happened to Regina, and Nicholas reads the note. Everybody reads the note and is just like super freaked out about how serious this all really is. Still don't like take the note to the cops or anything, because I guess Claire Davis said don't do that.
They don't trust cops.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, these cops don't seem great.
I'm realizing I don't know what Nicholas's eye color is. Everybody in the book, you get their eye color.
Do you want me to Google it? Mm-hmm. Nicholas Morrow's
sure.
eye color?
I think they're like gray.
Well, it's either gray, aqua, or hazel. Those are the colors. Have you talked about this on your show before? Because every single person is introduced, and then dutifully Francine, or in this case Kate William, gives the eye color, and it's.
I was a
Nicholas,
little bit weird. I was surprised to hear that Regina had blue eyes in this book. I didn't remember that. It didn't seem like they talked about her blue eyes.
Blue. There are a lot of aqua eyes. Is there a hierarchy?
Yeah, the Wakefield twins have aqua eyes.
It shows power? There's a hierarchy of eye colors.
It's got to be aqua at the top. It's got to be aqua at the very top.
That's what I would think. And then I would put hazel underneath that, just based on my limited experience with this book. And then blue is just like dime a dozen. Not
sure.
So that speaks ill of Regina, I think.
I'm looking at a picture of Nicholas Morrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you got a picture.
A picture.
Yeah. Photograph.
Yeah. How do you describe aqua?
It's hard to see his eyes exactly. I guess I'll just kind of hold it up.
Okay. Yeah. He's on the playing for the Raiders.
He plays for the Raiders. Yeah.
What is he?
American
receiver?
football linebacker for the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
He played at Greenville University. It sounds like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think
he's following in his father's footsteps. Mr. Morrow was originally a professional football player.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a true thing about Mr. Morrow.
Beautiful.
Listeners, Google Nicholas Morrow if you want to know what the hell we're talking about right now. But brown eyes is what we're saying. We'll have to check. But I will say that even though brown eyes, generally speaking, is probably like a like low on the totem pole. There is a subset of brown eyes that is called coffee colored eyes.
Okay.
And that's
in
high.
these books? Yeah.
Yeah, that's high.
No, I think that's the sense I'm getting here is that that like if it's just a color, even if it's a cool one, that's nothing. But if it's more a metaphor, then these are good eyes and this person is powerful. Yes, Tanner.
What is it, Tanner?
Share something with us.
I ended up on the actual Nicholas Morrow's Wikipedia page, and I learned a secret about him and his sister.
Oh no, Tanner, no! Oh no, I'm so sorry. We can't talk about it at all, except for this. Listeners, don't Google it. It's really bad. It's not incest or anything, Jack. I can tell by the look on your face.
I'm shook, though. I'm shook. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. It's really hard. It's maybe the worst thing that ever happens in Sweet Valley.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, I'm curious, but
yeah.
all right, let's stay
Google
on track
it afterward.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another drama for another day. But that book involves a lot of poetry, Jack. So I think that you'll enjoy it when you get there.
Hell yeah.
Or the one afterwards. Some Elizabeth Barrett Browning, the favorite poet, the poet laureate of Sweet Valley High.
Oh, really? Is Elizabeth is into it? Into E.B. Browning? That tracks.
Nicholas, though, has this weird thing in this book where he keeps on talking about wanting to physically injure the people that did the kidnapping, which is normal and everything. It's just that he keeps on going back to it. Like when he first talks about how angry he is, like he first finds out what happens, he says, I'm going to read, "What I don't know," Nicholas said darkly, "is what kind of jerk would do something like this. It makes me so angry." A shudder ran through him.
Language, Nicholas.
"Bruce has been wonderful," he added quietly. "I wanted to go home and just punch this Claire in the face, and I would have too if Bruce hadn't held me down."
Yikes.
So, wow, Nicholas.
So aggressive. What do you call her? A jerk?
A jerk, I know. What kind of jerk would do something
who
like
kidnapped
this?
his sister and parents?
Yeah. She is a jerk. I think we can all agree she's a jerk. It's fair in this case.
I did notice that they do some light swearing in this book.
Oh, yeah. There's a point where Nicholas says, like, "These damn bushes are in my way." And I was like,
they say the H word.
It's a serious book. I feel like it's abnormal, the amount of swearing.
It's just not something I'm used to coming from the Babysitter's Club.
No, but you wouldn't be used to it if you were reading more Sweet Valley High novels either, because it doesn't happen a whole lot. A lot of like scary and racy things happen, but cursing does not happen very much.
The worst curse that happens in Babysitter's Club is bullfrogs.
Bullfrog.
That almost never comes up in these books. But yeah, so Nicholas and Elizabeth at one point are staking out the house, trying to find out like what's going on, like right after Nicholas gets back. And that's when Nicholas is like, sees this blue Dodge and they know that they're going to be spotted. So Nicholas kisses Elizabeth.
No.
But that ends up not being a plot point at all.
No, Elizabeth understood what needed to happen. I think they were just being professionals in this. That was the best thing to do and the smartest thing to do. And they had literally the worst and the least successful rescue scheme of all time. And it was a total failure. And they did a bad job from start to finish. And I feel like we should address that.
Sure,
They're treated as heroes. But like every single phase of their plan ended up with the
physical fight.
One of the kidnappers holding them all at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And being able to shoot them if he or she wanted to.
And at one point, one of them does.
One of them does. And it's like, I don't know, just get the cops involved. Your plan was fucking terrible. It was a
luckily
total disaster.
that person is bad at shooting.
Yeah.
Because she misses.
Yeah.
But before we get to the bad rescue plan, we need to get to the brilliant part of the rescue plan, which is the whole honeypot angle.
Oh, yeah, this works. Jessica kills it.
Yeah, finally, something that Jessica can use her skills for. Like, you know, Jessica in this book is like not really down for everything until she talks about how she reads Agatha Christie novels on the beach, which is a real shocker to me. Yeah, I know. I don't buy it. She doesn't read on the beach. Like, Jessica, she would get so made fun of.
Great in this book. She was a breath of fresh air after, what did we read? Double Love?
Yeah.
She was, after Double Love, it's just
like... B word.
She was very difficult in Double Love. Very, very difficult and trying.
Yeah, she's very difficult in almost every book in this series, but here she's really put to good use. Unfortunately, Bruce is the one who has this idea, like, oh, Jessica can use her feminine wiles, but like she kind of already wants to, because we have this description of Mitch. What's her last name? Denson. Mitch Denson.
Yeah. So
Certified
he's a
snack,
dish.
Mitch
He's
Denson.
a dish.
Oh, now you think he's a dish?
That's what I'm saying. He's a dish.
No, but he's skinny.
No, listen.
He's like a scrawny boy with big shoulders. He's a snack.
But he wears
I
this
could pop in my mouth and eat him like a.
But this is what I want to
shrimp.
ask you.
Or
He's the
like
guy's wearing a coconut crab.
I said shrimp, coconut shrimp.
He,
I meant popcorn shrimp.
he's the guy who's wearing the cutoff T-shirt, right? And what
Yeah.
I want to ask you is, what does that mean? Does it mean it's cut off at the midriff or cut off at the? Is that what it
think
I
means?
think
you
it's
can go
got to
either
be
way.
midriff. It's got to be midriff.
What do you want from me? So he
I think
looks,
you could cut it off just above the nipples and wear it like from here down.
and you're saying that's just a snack for you. That's
For
just
me.
That's just a light. That's not even going to ruin your dinner.
No.
Well, you guys, the first time Mitch Denson appears, he's bare-chested. He's mowing the lawn with no shirt on at all.
He's mowing the lawn with no shirt on.
I'm going to read it to
Okay.
give listeners the
Thank
full
you.
picture.
All right. When
You're
do
welcome.
we do a warning?
Do your listeners not read the book along with you?
A warning could be good, yeah, but
Okay,
the listeners to Sweet Valley Diaries are used to some pretty racy stuff when we
What
start
do we-
talking about boys.
May I address them?
Yeah.
What do we call the? What do we have?
What
a
do we
name
call
for?
them?
Yeah, listeners, I don't have anything cute. You want to have a suggestion?
Sweet Valley Diaries.
I think they're mostly female, but
Tanner, pull up Rhyme Zone.
Sweeties? Is that what we called ours?
I can't remember what we called ours.
I mean the Gladiators, I think, is the team name for Sweet Valley.
That's
High,
nice.
so
All right,
we
that's
can call them
good.
Gladiators. I
Gladiators-
hope that's right. I'm really not sure.
You'll know this from your social media. But what may happen when you hear this passage read is what is referred to as hashtag swoon. So if you're prone to hashtag swooning, everyone's saying it on social media. It's very
No one
common,
says
and it's something that people do say,
No
and
one
look
ever
it up,
says
and
it.
it's common, and
No
all
one
the
says
kids
it.
are saying it. But if that's something that might happen, just be prepared, because that is definitely going to happen. Please.
I don't even think people really even use hashtags that much anymore.
Well, but when you say it out loud, hashtag swoon.
Yeah.
That is a thing. I'm certain.
Yeah, I don't think anyone says that, but
Okay.
Mitch did make me hashtag swoon.
Yeah.
He's very handsome, and he does arm stuff with Jessica.
Yeah, and he has this shirt cut off just above the nipple.
Just above the nipples.
yeah,
Right.
which is
I
even
think it
better.
goes maybe
yeah.
just above the nipples to
Yeah.
just above the navel.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait,
Oh,
how does it stay on his shoulders?
V-neck is
It's not on his shoulders. It's like a tube top.
But it's a tube top that doesn't cover his nipples? Oh, no, it's
No,
going
it
above
just
his
covers
nipples.
his
I get it.
nipples.
Okay, I was
Just-
picturing
just
under
covers
the
his
nipples to just
nipples.
above the navel.
Yeah.
Just like a strip of fabric
Yeah.
around that section.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah, Jack is fanning himself.
Jack, take a moment.
Very, I know, hashtag swoon indeed. All right, but fan yourself a little more because he's not wearing even that
Okay.
at this point in the book.
Okay.
So they found out where the Densons live. This bad man, this Phil Denson man. He was in prison. He was in prison, and he was released from prison. And oh my God, that was the guy driving the blue Dodge. I finally realized it. Nicholas says. So then they're at his house because they look him up in the phone book, and his address is in the phone book, like it would have been. Bruce stopped his Porsche across. I should say Porsche. What do you guys think?
I say Porsche, but
I say Porsche because
Ignorant.
that's what Bahad Baby
That's
says
what people say.
in her song.
Okay. It sounds affected to say Porsche, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
I have the same problem with the piece of literature by Mallory, Le Morte d'Arthur.
Oh, sure.
I like to say Le Morte d'Arthur. Because
Pretty
it
much any
sounds
time we're getting
very
into French.
affected. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very difficult to get into French titles and like show off your pronunciation skills without feeling like a total asshole.
Oh, Jack has no issue with that, actually.
Yeah.
Bruce stopped his Porsche across from 1386 Lakewood Drive. It was a small, plain-looking house with a short side driveway leading up to a wooden side door. Nothing special at all, a house like every other one on the block. That can't be Philip Denson, Jessica said lightly, pointing at the bare-chested young man mowing the front lawn. He had sandy hair and was good-looking, but didn't look much older than Bruce or Nicholas.
Snack.
It goes on. Does Denson have a son? Elizabeth asked. If that guy is Denson's son, this is our lucky day, Bruce grinned. By which he means that they have Jessica, who she's going to ensnare him in her trap. And Jessica is like kind of okay with that because, as the story continues, up close the boy was even better looking than Jessica had first thought, with thick, sandy blonde hair and bright hazel eyes. But something in his expression made him seem aloof. So pretty sexy all around, I'd say. Mitch Denson.
It's a full dish, and I think that there's something there. There is something there between them.
Jessica is there to solve mysteries.
Yeah.
And eat snacks.
Yeah.
And she's solved all her mysteries.
I love it.
That's good.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that needs to be a new like catchphrase or t-shirt or something. It's a little bit high concept, but I really like it. Because you have to understand that we are not talking about literal snacks. Jessica would almost never eat a real snack.
Oh, no.
No,
You mean
yeah.
sexual
Like a food
snacks.
snack. A sexual snack? Absolutely. Yeah. The verbiage that we usually hear is that she wraps men around her finger. That's almost always the metaphor that's used.
And that feels good to the man?
I don't think they like it, but they can't control it. Their bodies just do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what part, if I don't want to get crude, but what part of the man?
The whole man,
Is she
Tanner.
wrapping around her finger?
The whole man.
I
the
think
whole
Jack's
man.
right. Yeah. She's got really big fingers. I mean, what you don't know, because it's all in the subtext, and you guys have only read one other of these books, is that Jessica and Elizabeth, like everybody in Sweet Valley, they're like really giant people.
Yeah,
Like
they're all slender mans.
like Godzilla-sized people.
Yeah.
So you can picture it now, right?
Yeah, I think we thought they were cars in our one attempt.
Oh my gosh. Cars are very, very important in this book, as we referenced, not just this book, sorry, this whole series. The cars are very important. They get mentioned. Rarely a character comes up without their car name being mentioned. But Jessica in this scene is able to kind of like, what does she say to Mitch? She tells him that she's like a census worker. That's her cover.
Yeah. That's also tends to be my pickup line.
Yeah.
In general, it's just people.
You're
people
at the
really
bar and
love
you're like,
that. Yeah.
I'm a census worker. Can I get your full name and phone number and blood type?
Yeah, she tries to throw him off this trail of being suspicious. I think Mitch is probably stupid, but also he's like entranced by Jessica. This is her power, right? But she tries to throw him off by asking him some really dumb questions. But he always says his dad's asleep. But she finds out enough to know.
He catches her looking in the window later.
Yeah.
But then they kind of hit it off. I think she ends up kind of liking him, right? Even though he's in on a potential murder plot.
That's because he's a snack.
He is a snack, and that's the thing. That's how far being a snack
Did you
will
see
get you.
him wearing that like cut off jersey while he was mowing the lawn?
Yeah. No, I did see it. I pictured it.
And Jessica saw it too. Yeah, Jessica doesn't seem worried at all that he's a part of this weird kidnapping plot, even though she knows for sure that he is aware, because she can tell he's lying about his dad to cover up what's going on. Like, why does he think the Morrows are in the living room? He's clearly up to something. But she's really ready to forgive him, like pretty much anything. And it turns out that she's kind of right, because later on, when the teens like try to save the day, Mitch comes up and Jessica's like spell over Mitch comes up again, and Mitch like steps up and helps them out in their mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tackles his father.
Yeah. It's not just a snack, he's a healthy snack.
Oh, that's really good. Mm-hmm. So we should talk about that. But first, there's something important that we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about Regina very much, because she doesn't appear that much in the book.
Nothing in this book. She does nothing.
She's just sort of like
passive.
cowering in the corner every time we cut to her.
I totally remember a character called Regina, and I am ready to talk about her.
Well, that's good. Okay, well, take it away, Tanner.
She's on the cover, Tanner.
Oh, she's the girl who gets kidnapped.
That's right.
Good.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, you recall. That's exactly right.
She's paralyzed. She has Stockholm syndrome. She can't do anything. She's afraid to do anything.
But she does leave them this letter that they've read a few times in the car. Like, it comes up, they slipped her a note, she passed them a note, and in the note, she gives them an important detail. It's like this mystery clue, the big mystery clue. And that is that there is this weird code that she can't quite make up. Now, remember that Regina, it was recently deaf, and now has most of her hearing back.
Right.
Right.
So that's a big deal, but the book doesn't make too much hay out of that miracle of science. But she keeps on hearing them talk about something called money is heaven.
Right.
So what do you guys think of that?
I mean, money is heaven.
Yeah, money is heaven. I thought this was by far the coolest part of this book. The money is heaven subplot is what made it feel like a mystery to me. This phrase is repeated over and over again. It's a subtle nod to the time when Rick Andover runs into Jessica, I think, in Sweet Valley High #1 Double Love.
That's correct,
says,
yes.
Hey, heaven, can you show me the way to Mars?
Mars.
Which is such a lovely callback. But also, if, as anybody listening to this knows, if you say it 3 times real fast, it sounds a lot like Monday at 7. And
Should we try it? Money is heaven.
Money is heaven. Money is heaven.
Money is.
Do you hear it, listeners?
I'll meet you. Money is heaven.
She's also she's still partially deaf, right?
Yep.
So it's like she's not hearing it entirely clear.
Yeah, and the slight problem. So it's a cool thing. The case gets cracked wide open when I think Jessica figures
It's
out.
Jessica, yeah. She realizes because they're ready to abandon the clue altogether because they're like, it doesn't make any sense. We can't make heads or tails of it. But Jessica suddenly realizes it, and she tells them all to cover their ears.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
But it is. I will say
Covers
that,
her, and she's like, "Monkey is semen."
they're like, no, what? Why'd you say that?
And then she's like, we cracked this wide open. Next stop, the zoo.
But so here's my problem. This is like just a small quibble with this is that I thought it was really cool because I was like, what does money is heaven mean? It's so much intrigue. It's spies. It's like a cool spy catchphrase. But when you find out what it is, it demystifies the spies, and they were just actually telling each other exactly when and where to meet. And Regina just misunderstood it.
Oh, poor Regina, who's still a little bit deaf, even after all she's been through.
Yeah.
And we'll
It's not like a dead drop, you know. It's not some place where they're gonna meet up to collect the next clue.
Yeah.
It's just the place where the thing is happening, and it blows the case wide open.
Yeah.
But to me, the other really significant thing worth mentioning about Money is Heaven is that it makes sense that any teen in Sweet Valley would think that's what people were talking about. I mean, it does kind of sound like just
That's
normal
why
conversation.
It was confusing. I think
That's how they say hello in Sweet Valley.
Yeah.
Any of us hearing that would have been like, that must be a misunderstood phrase.
Yeah.
But they were just like, yeah, that's something we say to each other all the time.
That's why it's so remarkable that Jessica's the one who figures it out. Because if anybody thinks money is heaven, it's Jessica. It's basically her main MO for almost every book.
Yeah.
Just chasing that paper.
Yeah.
Does she have a job?
Sometimes she has a job. She was recently working for a computer dating service that I believe is called the Computer Dating Service. Is the company name of the computer dating service.
CDS. That sounds good.
Yeah.
You can come on and you can date computers.
Ooh, that's in the 21st century rewrite of this series. That's what happens. It's a little bit dystopian because that's real hot right now for YA. But. No, she really abuses her power at the computer dating service and uses it to try to set her brother up and then herself up on dates. And instead of getting a comeuppance because of that gross misuse of her position, she just quits before she can get in trouble. Because she's made the money back to pay for the dress that she had charged to her parents' credit card. And now you know what happened with Jessica's job.
I'm glad her parents are laying down the law finally.
Yeah. So once they crack the code, they know that Monday at 7 is the time that this whole thing is going to go down where, I guess, I don't know how much of it they figure out, but they break up into teams. Poor Nicholas is stationed at a payphone and he's going to watch the computer place. I can't think of the word for the place where Mr. Morrow works.
They keep calling it the factory, but it doesn't. It's a computer chip factory, or they call it a plant.
A plant, yeah. And they're just stealing plans, not the actual chip. But this woman, Aunt Claire and Regina are going to go and try to get the plans. And so they break up into teams, and Nicholas's estate is staked
so
out.
Convoluted, yeah.
Yeah, it is really convoluted. And they don't have too much more of a plan other than we're going to go try to stop them.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Right. Nicholas goes to the plant with
Elizabeth.
And Bruce and Jessica go to
the Denson house, yeah.
the Denson house, right? And they decide that the thing is that they're gonna fight Mr. Denson or something.
Well, they're sure that Denson is also going to be at the plant. So they come into the house. Jessica has made plans to meet up with Mitch to try to get him away from the house, but he won't leave.
She's got a few more questions about the census.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mitch is like, oh, tell me more.
She distracts him while Bruce sneaks in. And actually, can I read the scene? Because it's super exciting, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
It's gripping.
So what happens is, as soon as Bruce gets inside and Jessica and Mitch then follow him in, suddenly Phil Denson's car comes squealing around the corner, and Denson's inside. Oh no, their whole plan falls apart instantly. So this is the beginning of chapter 11. "Don't move, any of you," Denson growled, pointing his gun at the group and running his eyes meanly around the room. "Do you hear me? If one person moves, I'm gonna start shooting." Jessica shivered. She didn't like the look on Denson's face one bit.
Because he's got those meanly looking eyes. That's terrifying.
Yes, that's right. Bruce was behind her, his hand pressing hard on her arm. "We've got to make a run for it," he whispered against her ear. "I'm gonna try to block him. See if you can get to the Jeep." "Shut up," Denson yelled, pointing the gun directly at Jessica. "Didn't you hear what I said? No one moves in here, and no one talks either." Jessica froze. The gun was pointing straight at her chest. She felt as though the air were pushing in on her. It hurt even to breathe, she was so scared. "Leave her alone, Dad," Mitch yelled. And to Jessica's disbelief, he lunged forward, knocking the gun out of his father's hand and sending him sprawling on the living room floor. "Come on," Bruce cried. "Let's go." Grabbing Mrs. Morrow by the hand, he spun around. He charged through the front door and across the Denson's lawn to the street where the Jeep was parked. And then Jessica freezes for a second, but it's exciting.
It's exciting.
And Mitch.
Exciting.
And Mitch's story arc in this, his character arc is by far the most developed and wonderful of any character. It's just you see him learn and grow. You see him
I was going to
change.
say almost the exact opposite.
Okay.
I'm about to have a son,
Yeah.
literally any day.
Yeah.
And
Congratulations.
if we ever get into some kind of caper together,
Yeah.
and he betrays me like this,
Yeah.
he's going to be dead to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a father, Jack. Did you think about that from the father's perspective?
No, I didn't. But now that I do, I would expect my boy
To be loyal, right?
If you're pointing a gun at someone, it is very undermining to not go along with it as a kid and just be like, "All right, Dad, you heard what my dad.
You
heard
he's
what my
feeling,
dad said."
Angsty.
Yeah.
He's
no.
rebelling.
Yeah, and that's too bad. But it is, I don't know, it opens the door for a potential relationship. Do you think we're going to see more of Mitch in these stories?
I don't think so.
Doesn't he go to jail?
What a waste of a good snack.
Yeah, throw that snack right in the trash.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't go to jail. But we don't forget about what's going on meanwhile at the plant, because we've got Nicholas and Elizabeth working real hard.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And Nicholas is also a snack. So, even though we're losing Mitch, Nick is sticking around for a while. So
Sweet Valley is a snack cabinet.
Yeah, and so is Bruce Pac-Man, or as I call him, Bruce Snack.
Bruce Snackman. Yeah, that's a pretty strong disambiguation from his original name of Bruce Patman with a T in the middle.
Yeah,
but I can see how you got there.
Bruce Snackman? Sorry,
did you say Bruce? Sorry, did you say Bruce Pac-Man?
Yeah, I'm hearing Patman from both sides. Yeah, okay, good. So,
so that's a lot of snacks, and they are about to get into the second part of their plan that involves them fucking up the plan and all getting held at gunpoint.
Well, simultaneously to this whole Denson thing, we've got Elizabeth. She chases after Regina and Claire, but of course she's already met Claire. She went to Claire's front door at the beginning of the book. So the first thing out of Claire's mouth when she sees this girl who claims to be from the newspaper and she's doing an interview about computers or something. She's looking for her directions and she's just trying to hold them up for a few minutes.
for some reason.
So the police can
Oh, right. Because Nicholas is calling the police. That's right. So when Claire says, "Aren't you the girl that came to my door the other day?" She says, "No, I'm her twin sister," which would be a great cover if Claire knew that, like, there were really twins. I mean, it's true she's a twin, but, like...
No, it sounds like a fake story.
It sounds like a fake story.
It's brilliant.
No, I'm her twin sister, and I am a census taker.
Surely you've heard of the beautiful blonde aqua-eyed census taker that's a 16 who's been going around the town. And you know what's weird is that Claire would have heard about that. That's what she should have said.
Yeah,
from
that's a good
Mitch.
point.
Mitch would have been like, "Oh, the weirdest thing
It's
happened."
the census takers. Yeah, there we go.
But anyway, it doesn't work at all because then, Denson shows up and everybody shows up at the same time. And it's just like total chaos. There's guns, you guys. There are never guns in these books.
A
So many
shot
guns.
goes off too, right? Or maybe not.
Yeah, no. Claire, she fires a gun and luckily she misses. But if she hadn't been such a bad shot, somebody would be dead. I don't know which one.
Snack
if
Man,
it was,
I think.
The Pac-Man?
Yeah, either him or Nicholas or Mr. Morrow.
That would be the idea of losing 2 snacks in one day.
Oh, tragic.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, nobody's died yet, and Mitch doesn't go to prison, so we can still count him as part of the snack collection.
The good thing he didn't go to
Snackiverse.
prison. They would tear him apart in there.
Oh no!
Such a snack.
There is this amazing moment when Nicholas and Bruce both lunge for Phil Denson at the same time, not planned. It just happens that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Very exciting stuff. Bad plan. Very bad plan. Their plan involved getting taken at gunpoint not once but twice,
Right.
and almost dying not once but twice,
Right.
and,
And the
only through unplanned incompetence on the part of the hostage takers.
And the only reason the police even actually come is because not only did Nicholas call, but also Mr. Morrow himself was able to get on the phone from his car phone or something. In the brief moment, so the police had some real,
Right.
multiple sources that told them this gun-wielding crime was going on. So they finally got off their asses and went.
This crime was foiled when the Stony Brook police, not Stony Brook, what's the name of the city?
Sweet Valley.
Sweet Valley police got involved, which is something that should have happened in chapter 1.
Yeah,
that's how
they were
crimes.
phoned.
That's how you prevent crimes, Elizabeth and Jessica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love for the epilogue of this book to have been about how that police chief got fired, but we all know how difficult it is to get those guys
The
out.
epilogue of this book was about another dish, who I like to call blonde, good-looking
Ken Matthews.
captain of the football team, and something is going on between him and, can I say this on the show? Hands off Hanlon.
You can.
That's what they call her. I don't call
But
her
the
that.
listeners will not know who you're talking about.
You like that name, Jack? You think that's a funny name to call her? Someone who's just, stands up for her bodily autonomy and...
I am a reporter and a journalist first.
And you think it's very funny. These teenage boys like to grope her against her will, and when she says no, they start calling her hands off handle, and you're like, oh, I love that. I think it's very funny.
I am just reporting that is indeed what she is called, and it is my burn of the week this week.
Ooh. Okay, well, Tanner, did you have a burn of the week?
Yeah.
Okay, well, while Tanner's
find
looking
it.
up his burner of the week, we should explain what you're talking about, Jack.
Thank you. I'm glad. It's funny. I was like, you and I have the same instincts, which
Wow.
but we ended up talking over each other just now because we have the same instincts. And I was like, no, I got to barge through. I need to explain to the gladiators what burn of the week is. Tanner likes to leave all things unexplained. And so I'm used to when I'd be like, no, we can't blow past this. A lot of people have no idea. Burn of the week is when we talk about the burn of the week.
It's kind of right in the title.
Oh, good. Thank you. I was actually hoping we could explain to the listeners who the hell Suzanne Hanlon is, because they don't know.
Yeah, we should talk about who Hands Off Hanlon is. She is a snob. More snobby.
Yeah, she loves poetry.
She loves
That's too high-minded for these Sweet Valley kids. Even Elizabeth thinks so, despite the fact that there's been a lot of poetry in this series already.
She loves poetry so much, and what is she doing with Ken Matthews, captain of the football team? He's better than that, to be with a
Grooming
poetry
him.
snob. But
Meanwhile, Ken Matthews is failing English, so that's a little bit confusing. Maybe Suzanne will help him with English.
I think that's what's going on.
That's the arrangement they've made.
Yeah.
We'll find out in the next book.
And they call her Hands Off Hanlon because she respects her own bodily autonomy.
And don't try to backpedal.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they call her Hands Off Hanlon in the next book or if that's just something that Jessica made up to try to stir the shit in this book. But Tanner, why don't you share your burn of the week with us?
Okay. They get this letter from Regina. And they're reading it out loud. Bruce is reading it, and then he's in disbelief. Bruce had turned on the light, and he was reading the letter he'd found beneath Regina's window. "Take a look at this if you really want to get scared," he muttered, tossing the folded paper and penlight onto Elizabeth's lap. Elizabeth read the letter as quickly as Jessica's interruptions would allow. So Jessica kept interrupting her, and she was just
Yeah, it was your burn on Jessica.
The burn is on Jessica.
Good.
I have a burn too, you guys. Can I share it with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
She says as if it's not her podcast. This is going to be a surprise burn. You guys never saw this burn coming.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm the only one that captured this.
Okay.
Can I get anyone anything else to drink? Coffee or tea? Bruce asked, coming out to the patio with a tray of sandwiches and a large pitcher of juice. It was early Saturday afternoon. Jessica shook her head, marveling. "Your parents should go away more often, Bruce. You're turning into an independent bachelor right before our eyes." Bruce looked sheepish. "Actually, Maria left the sandwiches out," he admitted. Maria was the Patman's cook. Everyone laughed, and the tension that had settled over the four eased somewhat. So that's a burn
Is it a burn on the working class?
It's a burn on both the working class and a burn on Bruce for not being able to make sandwiches. Yeah. Jessica's like, "Oh, wow, you did the bare minimum amount of work that a person could do who has guests."
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, no, that was Maria.
I love the Pac-Man's dedication to like English high society.
Well, can
like,
I
they
say
did the
this?
English Garden in book 1.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now they're doing like tea time with like tea sandwiches and tea.
But think about the beautiful poetic irony that Bruce, snack man, can't make a snack, man.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Wow, my mind is blown.
What? Francine. It's just layers upon layers with her. And I love that. And I know she's not a real person.
All he knows how to cook is small white pellets. Because he's Pac-Man.
Now that we've reached the end of the book, I have an important question for you guys. It's a question I asked all of my guests, and it is, are you a Jessica or an Elizabeth?
Okay.
And you guys don't have to be the same thing like a collective Jack and Tanner is.
Okay.
Like, you can be your own men individually.
It's such a difficult question because they're both
It's a really difficult
so
question. I'm a Bruce
odious
Pac-Man.
in different ways. You're a Bruce Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair answer. You're allowed to cheat.
Handsome, snack,
Very wealthy.
very wealthy,
Drives a...
selfless, like will date deaf girls, no problem.
Can make a sandwich.
Can make a sandwich, or have someone make a sandwich for me.
Yeah. Yes, better.
Um,
And how about you, Jack?
is there someone in the... And I know this isn't a fair answer to your question, but is there someone in the series who is smart like Elizabeth and cool like Jessica, but isn't a Wakefield? Maybe their brother.
I mean... Oh, yeah. Actually, a little bit of a Steven, sure.
yeah.
I mean, you might be a Nicholas Morrow.
Oh,
no,
or
you're that
possibly
dork. You're
a
that dork
Regina.
who's friends with Elizabeth.
Enid?
Enid.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm an
Enid.
Enid.
Weenie.
I'm Eenie Weenie.
What's her name?
What's her name?
Weenie.
Her name is Enid Rollins, but she's Jessica often refers to her as Enie.
Jessica's
Enid.
got the good
Enid.
nicknames. Maybe I'm a Jessica.
Jessica's clever in this book.
Yeah.
Jessica
does
is good
solve
in
the
this
crime.
book. Jessica, this is a good book for Jessica. She puts up a good front, or what, I don't know what word I'm trying to say.
Marissa, here's how you know that I actually am an Elizabeth, is that I unlike Tanner, do feel the need to come back and actually answer your question as it was phrased.
Yeah, I'm definitely
And
a
like
Jessica.
it's been like weighing on me that we didn't actually fairly and equitably answer your question in a way that is moral and right and in the spirit of the way that it was asked. And the fact that that is true means that I must be an insufferable goody two shoes.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Well, listeners, or gladiators, as maybe we should call them forever now, if you'll allow me to take that and run with it,
will be aware that Francine Pascal actually at one point wrote a little note at the beginning of a book, a dear reader, if you will.
Ooh.
And she says that she came up with Jessica and Elizabeth as the like ego and id, like the good and evil. So she really intends it to be that black and white. So it makes sense. You know, you guys are a good duo.
Yeah.
Together.
That makes sense.
How do you feel about that?
Elizabeth Wakefield and Bruce Pac-Man.
What a combo.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been a real honor and privilege for me to sort of, I feel almost as if I was a guest on your show.
That's what happens when you're on a show with Jack. He kind of just takes over.
Yeah, but it was fun for me. Listeners, check out Babysitters Club. Wherever you listen to podcasts, and tell your friends about Sweet Valley Diaries and do all the things. You know, send me an email, sweetvalleydiaries@me.com, because I started
At
Sweet Valley Diaries as a
Flaxbart.com?
blog a long time ago. No, it's just ME.
Oh, okay.
Oh, were you in that
But I am
cool,
Marissa Flaxbart.
like Sweet Valley Snark blogging collective? That's a thing, right? Like Sweet Valley and BSC, like live journaling back in the old days?
Sort of. Yeah, back in the old days. In 2010, when Sweet Valley Confidential, 10 years later, came out, I actually went to New York to
good.
talk to the St. Martin's Press people about the books.
Amazing.
Because,
You were an authority.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's legendary.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that nod from Scholastic.
yeah.
I
We're bringing back the
right?
BSC, and we need you to come in, Tanner.
Yeah.
It'll come. Tanner, Jack, it's going to come
Yeah.
for you guys. One of these
They're
days.
afraid of us.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm at Sweet Valley Diaries on Instagram. That's where I like to do stuff. Where can people find you guys doing things?
Oh, boy. I guess just on our podcast.
Yeah.
BabysittersClubClub.com.
And wherever you subscribe to podcasts, and if you want to go to babysittersclubclub.com, that's got all our info there.
And you can see the current loser of the Wandering Frog game, which is Jack Shepherd.
Great. That'll be no context needed.
It's such an amazing show. If you're listening to this one and enjoying it, you're definitely going to enjoy the other one because you definitely read Babysitter's Club when you were growing up. I predict. Mm-hmm. Or predict is not really the word, but, you know, looking into the past, whatever the word for that is.
Yeah.
Past predict.
And our girls are nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should talk more about that on Extra Drama next week.
Ooh.
Is that a good idea?
I love it.
All right. Oh, I have something that we need to do. Does either one of you have the book in front of him?
Yes?
So how do you want to do it? Do you want me to say the second part and you can say the first part? Or do you want to read it together?
Let's read it at the exact same time, but I'm going to actually mute myself so that I'm going to start and you come in with me. But I'm going to mute myself so that I don't hear you since we're on a delay.
Okay, does that work for you, Marissa?
It does, yeah.
I'm going to start. You ready to come in with me?
Yeah.
Will Suzanne succeed in changing Ken? Find out in Sweet Valley High number 27, Love Struck.
How'd that sound?
I couldn't hear you, so I didn't know if that was at all in sync.
It felt pretty good to me.
I think that it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, great. It's just such a simple task, and we took so long to do it. Such a complicated one.
So does that mean meet Miss America?
Okay, so I have started recording here.
Me too.
I'll let you run the show, Marissa. I'm so used to.
He's really
being,
resisting a lot of urges right now. I can see him struggling
I love it.
to not.
I'm so
take
used to being
over.
in the driver's seat. It's such a relief because if I didn't take charge, our show would be like we would literally never talk about the Babysitters Club.
I think of myself as like a lump of clay, and Jack is the artist, and he molds me into a beautiful work of art.
Yeah. What's a sculptor without his clay? You know,
Yeah.
nothing. Just a pair of beautiful hands.